Before I even tackle the juggernaut that is Panzer Dragoon Saga, I gotta get something off my chest. I'm not a big fan of role-playing games. I know, how can I be a hardcore gamer and not love a good RPG? Well, I feel my biggest issue is the combat system. The very notion of just standing there waiting for my turn while leaving me open to an attack that is sure to come just seems absurd. I always felt action should be kinetic, not static. That's just me though, I could be wrong. Needless to say, I was both confused and disappointed to find out that Panzer Dragoon Saga, the third chapter in a series of rail shooters, was a fucking RPG. With only 30,000 copies produced in North America, it's rare, thus making it one of the more expensive Saturn titles available. I'm sure the simple fact that many gamers see it as one of the best role-playing games ever made for any console has nothing to do with padding its rather considerable asking price. In spite of these obstacles, the one thing that really excited me was the thought of expanding on Dragoon's mythology. Oddly enough, Saga went into development around the same time as Zwei. Bringing this epic to life was an arduous task to say the least. Over the course of 2 years, the team of 40 had to struggle with converting their action series into an RPG and somehow satisfy newcomers without alienating fans of the original. And by some miracle, they succeeded. I say that because I fucking love this game. The story is set sometime after the events depicted in Panzer Dragoon. Our protagonist is a young Imperial soldier, Edge, guarding an excavation site amidst a dusty wasteland. Edge is somewhat unhappy with his assigned duty, craving action over peace and quiet. Suddenly, the mine is harassed by a large mutant creature. Edge quells the situation while discovering an ethereal-looking woman buried within the rock. Before he can satisfy his curiosity, the site is attacked by the mutinous Kramen and his followers. They make off with the mysterious woman and shoot Edge, knocking him into an underground reservoir. That is when he finds the dragon, or the dragon finds him. Like the previous games, this dragon communicates with the rider telepathically and aids in his escape. The dragon takes Edge back to the site, and that's where he finds his dying captain. Fueled by rage, Edge then vows revenge and sets out on his mission with Yu by his side. I named mine Yu. Dorky? Perhaps. Do I care? Not one damn bit. Though it may sound simplistic for an RPG, it's anything but. As the story unravels, you'll meet up with some fascinating personalities that explain the myths surrounding these majestic creatures as well as the ancients, the beings responsible for the great war mentioned in Panzer Dragoon, and maybe even Azel herself. Yes, the woman from the mine. Edge will follow Kramen into the barren valleys of the Geralt Desert, the ominous ocean of the Forbidden Zone, even one of the infamous towers. The story may not be all that original. I mean, any sci-fi fantasy fan worth their weight in salt has dealt with the hero's journey, artificial life, and evil empires hell-bent on world domination. Regardless, it's told really, really well. Pacing is spot on, and dialogue is both subtle and sophisticated.
クレイメンはやつはどこだ
愚か者め、私はおとりに過ぎん。閣下は今頃とうに。お前はあの時の。よくここまで追ってきたものだ。だがそれもここで終わりだ。あとは彼女か。
彼女
Speaking of dialogue, that was something I neglected to mention in my previous video. Yukio Futatsugi, the director of both Panzer Dragoon and Saga, worked with his team to create a fictional language as opposed to falling back on either English or Japanese. Apparently, it's a mixture of ancient Greek, Latin, and Russian. Talk about going above and beyond the Call of Duty. Unlike the first two games, Panzerese is only heard in the beginning and the very end. Every other spoken word is Japanese. Regardless, the actors did a fantastic job conveying the emotion necessary for any given sequence and should be applauded for their efforts. Unlike so many role-playing games made pre or post-Saga, you aren't following a band of do-gooders on some Tolkien-like quest to battle the forces of evil. It's a young man looking to avenge his fallen comrades while rescuing a woman lost in time, with his only ally being an armored dragon. Sure, he meets up with some interesting personalities along the way, but they're supporting characters at most. They don't join you in combat, nor do you have to take care of them when the metaphorical fit hits the shan. There's no one to turn to if you die. The only being you can really count on is you. I don't mean you, I mean the dragon. This may be a desolate land, haunted by sins now centuries old. You may be taking on a corrupt superpower by yourself, but none of that matters because your greatest weapon and most loyal confederate just so happens to be your ride. Azelle is a fascinating character. When she appeared, the first thought that came to mind was, oh, there's the damsel in distress. The next time you see Azelle, she's fighting by Kramen's side. Why is that? Well, I'm not saying. Like I said, the story is what drove this franchise into RPG territory in the first place, and I don't want to give everything away in a fucking YouTube video. A great deal of the story is shown through these exquisite cutscenes. Character models have more detail and the animation is smoother and more lifelike. The compositions, lighting, and editing are first rate. Even the in-game sequences stand out. If someone were to cut these scenes together, I think you would have an awesome movie. And I haven't even talked about the gameplay yet.
「これ以上あの人の邪魔をするな」
え？
でなければお前を殺さなければならなくなる。
You'll spend a lot of time exploring these expansive, fully rendered 3D environments by air, uncovering various items locked away in these rotating obelisks that your dragon can blast open in real time. These items range from healing elixirs, weapon upgrades, kittens, whoops, wrong game. The underground ruins of Uru may throw you when you're forced to abandon the dragon and ride a floater, limiting your attacks to Edge's modest abilities during battle. On foot, Edge can wander about a few locations, such as the Caravan and the village of Zoa, just to name a couple, where you visit various establishments and engage in some enlightening conversations with their respective inhabitants. Just like any other RPG, there are shops where you can buy and or sell items, locals feed you information pertinent to your task or make it their mission to make Edge feel unwelcome, at least at first. It's standard stuff, though it's well executed. Some graphical limitations can be seen here, namely clipping and pixelated textures when viewed up close. This didn't take anything away from the game for me personally. Oftentimes I was distracted by the light sourcing and, what could it be? Transparencies? Well, I'll be damned! It's interesting to note that the developers chose to use transparencies for clouds and mist while using the all-too-familiar waffle fry pattern for rays of light. Surprisingly, it comes together nicely. Okay, enough fapping. Another place where Edge can stretch his legs are the campgrounds. Can't go very far, but you can save the game here, advance time, or pet your dragon. That or ignore him, but why would you want to be an asshole? The one thing you really can't do well on foot is start a fight, which brings me to the battle system. As you can see, it's turn-based combat. You have 3 action gauges. Once one is full, you can strike with Edge's blaster, the dragon's lock-on attack, hitting several enemies at once or as many blast points possible on a single adversary, or you can use an item. If 2 or even all 3 action gauges are maxed out, you can use a berserk. Think of berserk as magic. Depending on your skill level, Edge will have a wide array of attacks and healing abilities, some of which are absolutely dazzling to watch. Two features that rock my controller is the ability to maneuver in real time. If you look to the radar, you'll see that there are safe zones indicated by the green cone shape, and danger zones. I know what you may be thinking, but you can't just sit back and lay waste to your opponents in perfect safety. Enemies can maneuver as well, pushing you toward a hotspot. Some have weak points that are only accessible within a danger zone. Moving around too much can prolong the battle, wasting vital resources, and your action gauges won't replenish while maneuvering. With that being said, this is a great feature that keeps the action moving while adding another level of strategy. The second feature is the dragon's morphing ability. There are 5 basic types: balanced, attack, spirit, defense, and agility, each of which have their own unique advantages, like the spirit form that replenishes your berserk power. That and your dragon looks badass in every configuration. After every battle, you're given a grade that will affect your experience points and dying. The better you rank, the faster your dragon will level up. There's so much more to this game, it's ridiculous. Saga didn't receive an official strategy guide, so gamers still find hidden gems to this day. Like any great work of art, you find something new every time you look at it. This game is massive in almost every sense of the word. Everything from the narrative, play mechanics, and presentation are top shelf. As far as I'm concerned, Panzer Dragoon Saga is more than deserving of its status as one of the best role-playing games ever made. One thing to keep in mind, the original source code has been confirmed lost by its director, so it won't be showing up on XBLA or PSN anytime soon. Panzer Dragoon Saga is a true Saturn exclusive. Always has been, and probably always will be.